Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about a very fun topic. We'll be chatting today about international travel. I'm Julie Hall, and this is our travel expert, Julio Soto.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today, Julio. We'd love to get your thoughts on some top up-and-coming and trending destinations, as well as some tips for international travel.
Great. I'd love to be here.
All right, let's get started. So what are some of the best places to go in the world? Let's start with Europe.
Well, so typically Western European destinations continue to be very popular. I mean, you're talking about places like Italy, as an example, France, the British Isles, Spain and Portugal continue to be really popular, in addition to places like Croatia and Montenegro. So those places are not only iconic, but continue to interest people and interest people in going back again. So it's not just first timers, it's people going back and experiencing more.
Yeah, there's so much to see and
Absolutely, yeah.
So again, thank you so much for joining us. If you are just joining us, my name is Julie Hall. This is our travel expert, Julio Soto. And please feel free to leave any questions you have in the comments below, and we'll have Julio answer those for you throughout this video. So Julio, what about the Caribbean? What are some top places to go there?
The beauty of it is that the Caribbean continues to be very popular. I mean, amidst all of the weather situations that we have had in the last couple of years with hurricanes and tropical storms, places like Jamaica, even places that were ravished a bit by bad weather have bounced back, like Puerto Rico and St. Martin. So, I mean, you've got Barbados, you've got St. Lucia, you've got the Cayman Islands. They're all still very popular.
Yeah, you can't go wrong in paradise.
No, it's paradise. It's beautiful and it's accessible to people. I mean, it's not far from most of the general public in the United States. So you see that Caribbean continues to grow.
That's great. And you mentioned hurricanes, tropical storms. Of course, all of our hearts have been with the people of the Bahamas. What is the status of the Bahamas as a destination?
It's a great question. So again, we echo, and I echo your sentiment about the tragedy in the Bahamas. The good news for the people of the Bahamas and for tourists that are still interested in going there is that the main hub of tourist activity was not really damaged by the storm. So as an example, Nassau, and that particular area was unaffected, and cruise ships have gone back. People are still flying there. The hotels were not destroyed or damaged. So you have a great opportunity to show your support to the people of the Bahamas by going back to places like Nassau for sure.
Yeah, and that will go a long way toward helping the local economy and helping them in that recovery.
You know, the beautiful thing about it was to see our supplier cruise partners go in and immediately help the people of the Bahamas. Royal Caribbean, Carnival went in and really did some wonderful work in trying to help them immediately after the storm.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is fantastic.
Great to hear.
Yeah.
So now let's turn our attention to exotic locales. What are some destination choices in areas of the world people may not immediately think of in international travel?
Sure. The first place that comes in mind is the incredible popularity, especially in 2019, of Egypt.
Oh, okay.
Egypt is back, and people are going there in great numbers. Obviously, it's an incredible experience. I had the great pleasure of going and standing in front of the pyramids, and it changed my life. It was that kind of incredible experience. However, people are going back. Tourists are loving it. The Nile cruises are super popular, and they're opening in the next couple of months a brand new museum that will have in totality the King Tut exhibit.
Oh wow!
It's going to be a game changer in how people view going to Egypt. It's very exciting.
That's great. Any other locales other than Egypt?
I mean, you've got some really cool places like Iceland continues to be engaging to our members, and places like Southeast Asia. Cambodia and Vietnam and Thailand and even Japan, being that they're hosting the 2020 Games in Tokyo next summer, I think there's a lot of interest in Southeast Asia as well.
Yeah, and so much diversity throughout
Asia.
Oh,
it's wonderful. It's really wonderful.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about cruising. I know there are many different ways to travel internationally. What are some different options in terms of types of travel?
Sure. So I can tell you that if you're looking at trending in travel, the most prominent trend would be riverboat cruising, especially in Europe. Those rivers lend themselves to unbelievable experiences. So rivers like the Rhine and the Danube and the Seine, we see our members going back year after year. New folks that have never even taken a riverboat cruise, we see that actually growing as well because it's an intimate experience. When you're talking about 150 passengers as opposed to 2,000, it's just a very, very different experience.
Yeah. So in addition to river cruising, there are obviously lots of different types of tours you can go on. Can you talk a little bit about what the options are?
Sure. I mean, the concept of guided vacation it continues to grow in the minds of folks. I mean, a lot of people would say, it's not for me, I don't want a tour. We don't look at it as a tour anymore. We look at it as an experience that is prepackaged for you so that you really don't have to worry about a thing while you are in some of those countries that we just mentioned earlier, like Spain and Portugal and Italy. It's good for somebody to do all the work for you. You sit back and just enjoy it.
That's great.
Yeah.
So is there a difference between, I hear a lot of buzzwords about adventure travel, experiential travel. What is the difference there?
That's a great question. And obviously it's up for interpretation. Everybody probably has their own feeling about what is what. I can tell you that adventure travel typically involves activity. Depending on what level you're comfortable with, but there is activity involved, like biking or hiking or ziplining, where experiential is more of exactly what it sounds like. It's like, I want the experience of going to a cooking school in Tuscany with a real Tuscan chef. That's experiential. There's no ziplining there. There's just eating really delicious food. So that kind of encapsulates what the difference of the two are.
That sounds like my kind of
Me too, by the way. I'm way more Tuscan cooking than I am ziplining.
Yeah. So what are some other different trends you're seeing in international travel right now?
I mean, really, the thought behind sustainability and social responsibility is echoing at every level and every nuance of travel now. People want to travel to places where they can make a positive difference and that they are not upsetting the ecology or the culture of that country. So you'll see more, and rightfully so, you'll see more and more of that introduced into all levels of travel, which is very exciting.
Oh, that is exciting. That's great. So you talked about cruising in the Caribbean and river cruising in Europe. What are some of the different international vacations? It sounds like there's probably more beyond those, but what else is out there?
I mean, the beauty of cruising these days is that you can go to all 7 continents. Wow. So if you are a jaded sort of Caribbean cruiser and you want a different experience, you can go to the Galapagos Islands, you can go to Antarctica. By the way, you could actually even do cruises that go around the entire world. So if you have about 3.5 months, come on guys, if you have 3.5 months open on your calendar, just join us on an around the world cruise that will take you everywhere. And it's really, that's a one-shot deal. That is a trip of a lifetime, but it is available, and most people don't even know that that's out there.
Wow,
so.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
if
it's
I had
amazing.
3.5 months to spare, that's what I'm doing with
Me
it.
too, I'm with you on that, Julie. Maybe we should take it together and host one of these live things on the World Cruise. Let's do it.
That's a great idea. So what about different types of cruise lines and different types of cruises beyond the Caribbean and Europe? What other things are out there?
I mean, we have everything. The thought of a niche adventure type of expedition cruise is what's really trending and really hot now. And I'll go back to the example of Antarctica. I mean, it's very difficult to get down there, and you only have about 3-month window to be able to do it. So you're looking at getting on an icebreaker, which is very different from going to the Caribbean, right? So that kind of niche, roll your sleeves up and really get into it is what's super popular right now.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like if you are going on that kind of trip, a travel agent would really come in handy there.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, the advisor will help you really just, they will walk you through the myriad of options because you want to make sure that what you're banking on will accommodate your overall travel needs. That's where we connect the dots for you, which is very exciting.
Can a travel agent help, whether you're cruising or any other type of international vacation? Can they help with passports and other travel documents?
It is ultimately one-stop shopping. They can do everything for you within reason, obviously. But it starts off with the booking of the cruise. We will provide you travel protection. We will provide you the passport information, visas if needed. We can even direct you to where you can get foreign exchange before you go. When we have a foreign exchange, so it's everything really.
That's great. So you mentioned different documents, passports. What about an international driving permit? Is that something they can help with?
Yes, that's a great point, and I often forget to mention, I don't recommend driving anywhere. Why do that when you do it already at home? But for those intrepid road warriors, we definitely recommend getting an international driving permit because it really helps you mitigate the differences between driving policies country to country. I mean, you could go from Italy to France and the policies are different. The IDP helps you walk through that, and it is a good document to have in case something comes up in any country that you choose to drive in.
Yeah. So you mentioned it's good to have. Is it required to have an IDP?
It is not necessarily required, but AAA has been recommending it for many, many years, and we stand behind it because, again, it helps you navigate a country's driving policies, and that could be daunting if you don't have someone to navigate that for you. So.
Right. So we did get a write-in question about travel insurance.
Yes.
Is that worth the investment?
Oh my goodness. First of all, I refer to it as travel protection.
Okay.
So Julie, it's travel protection.
Got it. Protection.
So, and the reason that I say that is because not only are you protecting your investment, but you are also protecting the well-being of yourself and your family. And I think that's where the education of travel protection is important to all of us, is that it's something that you purchase that will protect you before you go and while you're on the trip as well, which is really cool.
So with travel protection, how do you recommend going about getting that? Can you do that when you book your vacation, or can you do it after the fact?
It's a great question. So my personal recommendation is always to get it before the fact, because most policies, especially the ones that AAA sells, have, as an example, 14-day pre-existing clauses.
Okay.
So it protects you for things that you may already have going on health-wise, and it won't interfere in the policy itself. So my recommendation is to get it before. But for those who are listening, please remember, and we advocate to this, you could also buy it after.
Okay.
We just don't want you to travel internationally without it at all.
Sure.
That's bad. So
Better later than never.
better later than never, absolutely.
So if I don't buy my vacation with AAA, can I get travel protection through us?
Well, first of all, that's impossible. So I can't even comprehend that. But for those of you who are doing that, yes. Again, AAA advocates coming to us for that expertise around everything, but with travel protection, you can still purchase the policy through us, even if you haven't purchased the trip through us as well. We just want you protected. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. So how does it work if I'm on my trip and something goes wrong? How does travel insurance actually play into
that's a great question. And by the way, the technology behind travel protection has advanced so much in the last couple of years that it's pretty amazing. As an example, there are things called smart benefits that are available to folks who purchase insurance from AAA, and you could be sitting at the airport, and if your flight is delayed, once you've given the insurance company your flight information, if you're sitting there and you know, oh great, the flight's already delayed 4 hours, and the 4 hours is covered by your policy, the insurance company is sending you automatically, without a claim, automatically money into your account while you're sitting at the airport mad. So that is why we want you to purchase it, because again, it covers you before the trip and especially while you're on the trip as well.
Yeah, well, and it makes that 4-hour delay at the airport a little less
Makes
painful.
me very happy when I know that I've already, ching ching, $400 in I haven't even done anything, and the insurance company has already helped me. So that's great.
That's great. So I've heard of AAA Vacations. Can you talk a little bit about what that program is and what the benefits are there?
Absolutely. So AAA Vacations is basically the brand that AAA across the country has created with our top tier supplier partners that offers our members what I like to refer to as a goodie every single time you purchase something from us. So there is a member value, there is a shipboard credit, there is priority embarkation on cruises, there are experiential vouchers that are included. So anytime you come to us and you book a AAA Vacations, you will have something in it for you, which is tremendous value to our members.
That's great. Definitely something to look into.
Absolutely.
So Julio, I have one more question for you. What is your personal favorite international destination?
So that's really hard. I get that asked very often. It's very hard to answer that, but I will tell you that for the sheer spirituality of what I encountered when I went to Africa, to Kenya and Tanzania, that was really just the epitome of what I like to think of as the best trip I've ever taken. To see those amazing animals in their own natural habitat, and then to meet the people of Africa was truly the best trip I've ever taken. So it's on my top list for sure.
I can definitely understand that. I know that's a bucket list trip for a lot of people.
I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, that's great. So I think that's all the questions we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us, Julio, and giving us your insight on international travel. Definitely recommend everyone visits AAA.com/travel to get started planning that next trip today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Julio.